one of the things that I think a lot of people struggle with is when they get stuck, when something isn't working. What are some of your best recommendations for, you know, getting, like, dealing with the failure, which is very common in data science when your stuff doesn't run or when you're not getting as good results, even though you're in theory using better models. How do you get past that? How do what encourages you to keep going and keep experimenting?
Yeah. What I do recently, actually, if like I'm running into a whole bunch of bugs, is just like take a break. Like I literally go outside, go for a walk. It's like it's simple. It's like there's I would always find myself actually in terms of asking myself that question that you just asked, and I would always look for like some sort of secret, like how do I find the answers out of all this? And like reflecting back on it, it was like, you know what, this happens to everyone. It's not new. Like you're gonna run into. I mean, truth be told, if you're not running into errors, you're not trying enough things. So it's like part of the parcel. One big thing actually that I like to do is if I'm working on any kind of project, it's always more exciting or easier to get back into it when you know what your next steps are. And I mean, you're not always going to know it, right? So if I'm working on something, oftentimes I'll like if I'm writing a code cell in Jupyter Notebook, I'm actually doing this now with something that I'm working on, is that if I'm like going to take a break or something, I'll like leave a code cell like half done. And then I'll write like a comment, like my code will be, just for a simple example, model.fi, and then like for fit. And then it'll be, I'll just do model.fi and then hashtag like I'll comment out.
Yeah.
It's like finish this, finish this. Like that's my next step. And then so I'll come back, and if I'm searching in a project, I'll often do Command F, and then I'll usually have next or up to here. And so then I can just like go back to it and sit down and just go Command F, next, and then literally just like start going back on the exact same part, even though it would have taken me like 30 seconds to finish that before I took a break. Having that little bit of like unfinished business is kind of like a momentum builder for getting back into it. And so I'll even do that when I'm writing as well, like almost I found it's really helpful. But where you run into, like where I personally run into, I mean, it's probably similar to a lot of people, is when you're not sure of what to do next, then it's really hard to like sit back down and like dig into it. Maybe you've ran into some sort of CUDA error, and which is like the formidable error. And you've been through almost every single GitHub thread that exists, and you're like, well, I just can't get this error fixed. And then you just work out that your just tensors were in the wrong shape, like at 2 days later. I've had that happen to me multiple times.
I think that there's a lot of value in that, is that like sometimes in the moment or when you need it, you're not going to solve the problem, and you should give yourself a certain amount of time to solve it and then just move on. Some people get so stuck that they stop altogether. One thing that I do is very similar to what you do, is that I'll just like do like 6 comments, like these are the 6 things I'm going to try. If like some of them work, if one of them works, great, I can keep going. If none of them work, it's like, okay, I tried everything that I could. Let's move on to a different part of the analysis, or like, let's just step away for a little bit and think of more things that I can do. I mean, there's and
if in doubt, like ask. You can always ask. Like I find the amount of, so for every question you probably see on like Stack Overflow or some GitHub issue thread, there's probably like 1,000 that are unasked. So if you are, if everything, and this is what I found actually too, like if you start to phrase like the problem that you're having in like English terms, or like just in semantic terms, like talk it out, it actually starts to make more sense. Like when you, or sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So I would have, when I was working on another project with someone else, he introduced me to the concept of the rubber duck. And so we would treat each other as if we were rubber ducks, like sitting in the bathtub. And then we would explain our problems like, oh, rubber duck, I'm trying to to merge this data frame with this other data frame. And I'm not sure like the order that it's supposed, oh, wait, I should just go on that column and, oh, I see what I have to do now. And so like that actually, so yeah, what you just said of like leaving 6 comments or whatever, that's kind of like a similar thing. It's like, you're just talking yourself through your own problems. And it's the same thing with one of the recent projects that I worked on. I had this document that was basically just like a thread, a rolling thread of whatever thought came into my head about the project. And it was like, it went for 42 days, which is like 6 weeks. And it's like day 1, this is what I did. And it was like a journal. And then it's like day 2, this is what I'm going to do on day 2.
Is this your Airbnb project?
Yeah. And so
I'm going to link that above and below just for everyone.
Okay. Yeah. So
to know what's going on.
That was something I like started doing when I was working at my machine learning engineer role. Was every day I would kind of send a message through on Slack just saying, here's what I did, here's what I'm going to do next. And those, like, it was just 3 bullet points. Like, here's what I did, like 3 bullet points, maybe less if it was only one big thing for the day. And then the next was kind of like, here's what I think I'm going to do next. And it was out in the public, like it was with the whole machine learning team. And that way it was first of all, it was communicating to myself, my intentions. And second of all, it was like, well, hey, this is out in the open. If anyone kind of has advice or disagrees, well, it's right there. So you can interact with it if you like.